Attention bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn. So please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen!
Hello, Yodelers. We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. I'm your host today, Japheth, with
Jackie.
And
I didn't come up with a name for this one. I'm sorry. It's just Peter today. It's just Peter.
It's not just Peter. You're Peter.
I'm Peter.
The critic.
Yeah, I am the critic.
We're all critics today.
It's
Yeah.
all garbage. All of it. Throw it in the dumpster.
We are critics today because we're at the beginning of a new year, so that gives us a chance to review some of the products that Disney has come out with. And the big thing right now is the streaming war, and that's going on. And I think it's going to be coming to an end soon since
Very
everyone has bankrupted themselves.
Yep.
Has everyone? Oh, I haven't caught up.
Everyone's doing
Netflix
really
is the
bad.
only one that's not
Well,
dying
it's
because they've taken out gratuitous amounts of debt like Disney does.
Yes.
They do like the 100-year debt thing.
Yeah.
Basically, they took Disney's model and they implemented it.
But they have no assets. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longevity that has.
Exactly. It's one of those things like, I don't think it's going to last. But it is because they switched over to reality TV.
Right.
And we'll get into that with what we're going to talk about is that we're going to talk about Disney Plus in 2023. We'll go over some of the hidden gems that we found, some of the poor choices. You chose poorly. Don't go
There
for
was
the
a lot
shiny
of
gold
those.
cup. It's,
There's a lot of those.
you're going to wither away your time. So, we'll give an overall feel. Were you satisfied with the Disney Plus this last year? A lot of stuff came out. I remember last year I was like, I'm gonna watch it all, and then they came out
They
with
just spit everything
so
out.
much, and I was like, I can't do it. But you know
Yeah.
what?
I remember that was your goal.
I did watch a lot of stuff
did.
that I would not normally watch. I watched a lot of National Geographic. I for instance, I caught myself watching Sharks, Alcatraz Sharks. It was as bad as it sounds. I was like, "Oh, how can you go wrong? Alcatraz, welcome to the Rock." I wanted Sean Connery to
Right.
greet me on this episode with Sharks.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, Disney Plus is not my go-to for streaming.
It's not your go-to.
It's, I go to it for the big ones, the Star Wars, the Marvels, all of those.
And those have done well.
Yeah.
I mean, for new content on a streaming service, I just saw something where Mandalorian is the most streamed. Got the most streams. With Loki 2 doing well.
Mm-hmm.
So some of their crown jewel ones that have come out, they're doing well.
Yeah.
The ones that people have attached themselves to. Now, new stuff that's coming out, not so much. And we'll get into that. All right. So one of I've mentioned earlier, we'll start off with National Geographic. I've been watching it. Have you guys watched anything that you were like, oh, okay?
I didn't watch any.
I think the only
No.
I think that it is National Geographic is the Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom season 2.
Yes, that was very good. That was the beginning of the year.
I did watch parts of that.
That got me hooked. I watched the first season
Uh-huh.
and the second season. And you get attached to the different
yes.
veterinarians that work there, and they cross over. This guy works with whales, but the giraffe one, when they're like, all right, watch out, because this thing, they sedate this giraffe, and then you don't think about when a giraffe wakes up, that head is gonna start swinging, and they're very nervous. They're handling it like it's a tiger or a cheetah, and
Right.
that was fascinating.
I did watch, actually, Making of the Wish, the cruise ship.
That was really good.
That was
right.
really cool. I enjoyed that. It just made me want to go on the Wish.
You're like, I want to go cruising. Mm-hmm. It was that one I did enjoy.
It brought back to the old travel Disney TV
Yes, the old Travel Channel TV specials that they
Yeah.
always had.
for Disney. That's what I loved about it.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot, and like there was interesting. They pulled back some old ones. There was one. It was called American Blackout, and it takes into like the whole like the U.S. goes into blackout mode, and it like goes through like different people's stories about how they're handling it, and people are like jumping from like elevator shafts to try to get to the roof, and then they're like, Johnny's gone. It's kind of like Blair Witch, where they're trying to record it. And they're like, oh no, Johnny didn't make the elevator shaft. And the one guy's like, I told him not to do it. And it was just interesting how people would interact with like the world in an emergency situation. And so I had fun with that. There was one called Hacking the System, where this guy just talks about different ways of like how to be nice to your like waiters and
I did see one episode of that.
That was kind of fun. They have different things like how to make body armor
right
out of like phone books and
Okay.
those were good. I think the weirdest one was the T-Rex autopsy.
okay
So
Yeah, that would be weird.
I was like, it was the beginning where I'm like, I'm gonna watch everything. So it happened in like January when they released it. So they get this big old T-Rex, and they get these people that
so like Ancient Alien style.
Yeah.
no
not like that.
these
Okay.
they're doing an actual like autopsy on a T-Rex, and they built this T-Rex as they chop it up. You're like, is that a real T-Rex? It was like they did such a good job. It made me question, like, no, that it wasn't like frozen, and like they thawed it out and like, let's chop it up, guys.
Right.
So they did such a good job, just like oh, it was eating this, and like so they did this autopsy on it, and it was funny how it sucked me in. It was one of those it was one of those documentaries. I wasn't expecting it, and it was just weird. So if you want something weird, you're like, I want to see what a T-Rex looks like. They had the 9/11 specials they dropped from.
Right.
Those were good. If you want a good cry, watch
Yeah.
that. Like,
Always.
I grew up, like I was in high school when 9/11 happened, and it never revisited, and they showing footage of this
Brought you back.
It brought me back, but it also like showed a different perspective, and they showed like what was like there was a camera crew already following one of the ladder units, and so they were filming it like with them.
Oh, wow.
And it was just intense. You're hearing so much, and you're seeing the emotion, you're hearing the noises. It was very like well done, and to paint a bigger picture of what it was like to be there, because all we saw what was like on the big news channels,
Right.
and like just going like, what's going on? You
What
see it there.
What amazes me is how much film footage there was of that in a day and age where there was no smartphones or
No.
anything
No.
like that. And so like it amazes me how much like ground footage there was from like the civilians that
Yeah.
were just like filming this
God, my-
happen.
Yeah,
Their camcorders.
yeah. That crew that was getting filmed, they're just showing like day in the life of a fireman. Boy,
Gosh.
they're
What a
like,
day.
oh, we've got a gas leak over here,
day.
and
What a
like,
day.
Wow.
yeah. So that was fascinating. They just recently came out with the 90s, so it's like, remember,
Right.
like, I love the 90s. That was
Oh.
kind of fun to go back and watch. Like, they talk about Beanie Babies and the Furbies, and I'm like, boy, that was just, oh my gosh, 25 years ago. So it was kind of fun to revisit that if you're like one of those nostalgia people. And then one that just was very thought-provoking was The Mission. And so it's about that kid that went to a no-contact tribe in the Indian Ocean.
Gotcha.
Remember that? He was
Oh.
the joke of everybody, going
Right.
like, what a dummy to go to people that they say don't go to. We're actively patrolled by the Indian government to like leave these people alone. It's just like,
Let them be.
let them be. So they bring in like anthropologists, they bring in other like, they bring in all the different perspectives of what happens, like people that have made contact and learning the language and what to do, and then get into the journals of this individual. Instead of just being the butt of the joke, you really get to know this person's story. And so that was very fascinating to get the overall picture of what happened. and what is in the mindset of an individual that would go do something like, because all he would
I can't edit that one, Jack.
because all you
I
can
couldn't control that one.
because all you can do is like, you know, when you hear it, I just remember it was just a joke, but then you hear it and you're going, okay, I see what was going on here. It's not as funny when you know the full story. All right, so nothing else in the Nat Geo. Nobody.
It's hard. It's hard to get some time to watch.
You know what?
Television.
I would challenge you guys this next year. Just pick one, like a
Right.
month, and
Yeah.
just something where like I don't want to watch it, and just challenge it. Like I watched a lot of animal ones,
Right.
and I was fascinated. Like I saw like the whales, how they like try to get baby seals and or other like seal like mammals in the Arctic, and like they do these methods, and I was fascinated from like a military's perspective, or like how panthers like or mountain lions would like follow, and I'm like, oh, that's what like you military does from afar, you know, back in the day. And I was fascinated how similar tactics we, you know, do in our own, you know, life.
How similar we are to the
We are
wildlife.
exactly, and so it was.
We are one.
This was the one part of my challenge I really enjoyed. It got me out of my comfort zone.
Sure.
And I really appreciated it. Oh,
Yeah.
there was one, oh, I gotta find it in my list somewhere. Where yes, it's called Bobby Wine. And it talks about the election in Uganda. And it shows you, you know, what happens in a democracy where someone has a long, you know, time keep getting reelected. And it shows this like hip hop star get into politics and try to make change, you know, being a minority party group, and it goes through the whole process of what goes on in Africa and their politics. Very fascinating in that way. So yeah, this year I really challenged myself, and I really appreciated learning things that I normally would like. No, I don't, you know,
Right.
put on the Marvels, put on this,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
it's so easy, but there are some really cool gems that I really appreciated. All right. Speaking of gems, well, you can't have gems without garbage.
It's true.
So Garbage TV, did anybody watch a lot of non-Disney proprietary, you know, products
I put
such as Dance Moms and
Storage Wars.
I put
Storage Wars. Yeah.
I did watch a couple episodes because I remember watching Storage Wars growing
What
up.
about Mind Freak with Chris
Mind
Angel?
Freak, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Like I remember watching a lot of Storage Wars growing up, and so
Storage Wars is like one of those like great shows to have on the background, or if like you're sick and you just want something basic on. It's great, like sick vacation TV.
Yeah.
I remember watching it on vacation. I was like, what's in it?
What's in the
Yeah.
storage
What's
unit?
in the storage
What
unit?
did they place in there behind the camera when the camera wasn't recording?
Yeah, hindsight, you look back at it and you're like, oh, I found this painting. There's $10,000 in it.
I just love like
Right?
the ones that have like you know, like used furniture stores, and they're like, oh, I could get $500 for this painting. I'm like, yeah, right.
I remember there was one episode where they found all this old memorabilia for Knott's Berry Farm, and I thought that was a kind of an interesting one when they went to Knott's Berry Farm and they go, oh yeah, this is from the 50s and all this stuff, and it was like, oh, that was kind of cool.
That is
coming
kinda
from
cool.
the theme park side of things. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there was some, I caught myself watching Forged in Fire.
I watched one episode of that, and I was
What's
all like,
that
"Eh."
about?
It's like
It's competition.
metalworking,
Oh.
Yeah, so they're like given a
making
task.
swords and stuff like that.
And so if you like watching things get built, that's it. They also had Ancient Aliens. I did watch it because
Yeah.
I used to like it like 10 years ago. And I watched it. I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
nothing's changed.
it's
It's like meeting that guy from high school. And you're like, boy, I wonder what's happened. Nothing.
Nothing has changed.
Same
with
exact
them.
person,
Yep.
lives in the basement. You know, yeah, that's what it felt like watching it. I did catch myself watching ghost stories, celebrity ghost stories.
Oh.
Some of them were really bad. It was, and you have a hard time believing because like, are you just a good storyteller?
Right.
So there was nothing really there. There was some interesting stories, but it's basically I did catch myself going, I can't watch this at night. It would freak me out a little bit. I get a little spooked.
Okay.
So anything else you guys watch in the garbage?
In the garbage?
No, not a lot of
No.
the stuff like.
Not really.
I would say light fights, the Great Christmas light fights. Those are fun to watch.
Oh,
the
yeah,
lights.
we did watch that. My wife, well, because there was one that was on the show that was locally, and
Yeah.
my wife's all like, we got to go to that. And then we looked it up, and we're like, we were actually going to go to it this last year for the holiday season, but we
It's
get
busy, right.
Yeah.
And we just never had time to go do it. So,
All right. Now Disney also. Oh well, before we leave garbage, does Disney need to buy more garbage TV? Like, did you find it brought the product down, or were you
I
like,
thought
this
it
is
brought
good?
it down.
I thought it. I did too.
I
The
don't think
type
it
of-
added.
the type of stuff that they added, like, I know they had Dancing with the Stars, which I know that's a big.
That's a TV
pull.
show on ABC, and I was
Yeah.
like, I think that's smart of them, is to get people that were watching it for years
Right.
onto it.
Yeah.
So I didn't have
But
it. I watched
honestly,
it.
I thought the stuff that like Dance Moms and like
I'm surprised.
Storage Wars.
I'm surprised the Bachelor and Bachelorette isn't on Disney Plus yet, because that's ABC, right?
It is.
Well, it's Hulu now. Well, it's on Hulu, which is now you can stream on.
Yeah, that's something that Disney Plus has done, is they've got the beta on, like, you can watch Hulu stuff now here, which next year I don't think we're going to be talking about what's on Hulu
No.
right there. That's
I
just
think-
overwhelming.
I think they even said
Even though were some really good Hulu shows.
Yeah.
yes, there were, and we
Honestly,
might,
I thought Hulu really brought it this year.
I think they did.
It's one of those like, oh, okay, you're back on my radar.
yeah.
This is like other ones fell off. All right, so Disney also borrowed from other studios.
Yes.
We had like Spider-Man, Indiana Jones came over here.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Home Alone, but that's Fox, isn't it?
That's Fox.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that and
They
so
bring that on for Christmas.
they bring it on for Christmas. You had Air Bud and
Aquamarine.
Aquamarine. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I watched that one.
and I was wondering, I was like, did Jackie watch that one?
It was so. This year I've been trying to watch all the movies.
Oh, yeah, it's in the
out.
A's.
It was in the A's, so I did watch it.
Did you watch all the Air Buds?
Luckily that got on there after I was past the A's, so I'll circle back on that one.
Airbud, all the Air Buddies.
Yeah, there were
I
5
had to
different Air
watch-
Buds.
I had to watch all the Beverly Hill Chihuahuas. That was rough.
Oh.
Actually, the first one really wasn't that bad, but the rest were horrible.
So there was a steep shelf.
Oh, it was
drop.
like bad. It was so bad.
Okay. Did you guys watch any of those? Did you catch
I've
yourself
seen-
watching Indiana Jones or Spider-Man?
I did watch.
Yeah.
The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I watched 1 and 2.
Okay.
So because I was like,
You
what, I
didn't
haven't
watch the
watched these in a
dance
while.
scene from
I
Spider-Man 3?
haven't gotten around to it. It's just I just don't have time, as much time as I'd like to sit down and watch a movie. So
I mean, I watched We Bought a Zoo. It's such a good movie. Aquamarine, Indiana Jones. Home Alones I usually watch around Christmas. So
yeah,
I did watch the Home Alones. It's just a really good, solid
It hits-
Christmas movie.
Yeah.
it hits the spot.
You root for Kevin. He's such a good character. They did a really good job. All right. Disney introduced some sports shows. They brought in some of like the ESPN documentaries, but they also did something very interesting. For a football game,
Oh yeah,
they did the Toy
it
Story.
was really cute.
Yeah, they have them like look like Toy Story toy bobbleheads playing the game while the game was going.
right.
So instead of watching it, with normal people, you're watching it with the overlay of Toy Story. And I did wake up early and watched it. It was kind of fun. And it was kind of see like the little like commercial things they would
Right.
do, the animation. So
It
It was like
really
cute at first, but I got
the novelty wears off.
tired of it. I was like, all right, I don't really watch
was-
football, so
It was definitely one of those things that somebody came up with. Was like, we can totally do this. Well, let's just try it. Let's just do it.
See if it bites,
and
or
then we'll see what happens. And it's kind of the way I am with like when I come up with an idea for an opening, which I haven't done for a while, but for an opening for the episode, I'm like, oh, I've got to do that. And I just do it. I don't even tell you guys. I just do
No.
it. I'm the editor. I do what I want.
That's what happens when you're in charge of that. All right, there was music that was they've been introducing
lot.
different music
A lot of-
artists coming through.
A lot of BTS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my goodness, a lot of they're introducing foreign. I watched one. It was the beginning of the year. It was like teeny, and it was like all in Spanish, and I just like had it in the background. I'm like, okay, all right, you know. I did watch the Miley Cyrus drop.
Yeah, I watched that one.
That was fun.
It was different. It was just a bunch of like she was just standing and singing.
Yeah, and her songs.
Yeah.
There was one called Lang Lang, Piano
Oh, yeah.
of Disney, or plays Disney.
Yeah.
He's a concert pianist. He must
that was good.
obviously famous.
I enjoyed that.
And if you want to listen to your favorite Disney songs
It was good. If you're
and
a fan-
piano, they're really good.
If you love Disney music, you'll enjoy that one for
Yeah.
sure. That was
So
really good.
I recommend that. It's called Lang Lang Plays Disney. So that was good. And then I kind of categorize a bunch of these because they're there's the miscellaneous group.
the niche.
Where I'm like, well, you got like Home Improvement, America's Funniest Home Videos, Schoolhouse Rock, and
Yeah, it was fun going back
Harry
watching some
and
of those.
Harry and Meghan. You know, it's like, okay,
I watched the
Harry and Meghan.
no the one with Hawkeye.
Or
Renovation.
Renovation.
I thought it was cute.
I didn't get to it. It was always like nagging me, like you should try it.
I watched a few episodes. He takes I guess collects like old vehicles like buses and like stuff. Like he has a huge lot and he gets to know like different charities and renovates them with a team.
How cool!
And it's really funny because like they're super serious. They're like, so this is what we're gonna do, and they have like blueprints, and it's like, okay, this is a little dramatic, but it was cute. Like if you like renovation shows, I thought this is a step in towards that.
Disney doing renovations.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would watch more.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm surprised.
Black Widow does, home makeovers.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't brought Extreme Makeover.
Yeah.
Because that was an ABC show. So
Yeah, but it's weird as I'm learning with the
It's-
stream
it's-
wars. It's like it
it's-
was on ABC, but it may have been done by a
So,
different studio. Like,
Extreme Makeover is actually done by HTV now. Like they
Oh, is
brought
it?
it back and it's by HTV. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
probably some rights and they probably sold it or whatnot.
was that Paramount?
I don't know who does
No,
HGTV.
Max.
Is it Max HBO?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I caught myself watching Home Improvement, and
Yeah, I watched.
it was
Home
really
Improvement.
good. Like just to go back down that, and
And
Tim Allen is a good, he's a good TV personality.
Absolutely.
I mean, it rolled over into like Man of the House, very similar character, different
Yes.
set of boys. He's got girls now,
Yeah.
and
Just
Al was
copy and
a
paste with a Justin.
It's rare to find a good.
throwback TV show that from like your
I would
childhood.
even just say even nowadays, like to find a nice wholesome family show
Yeah.
that you can watch with your family that everyone will enjoy. My kids enjoyed watching the silly shenanigans of Tim getting electrocuted 20 times an episode.
I just
you
like
know,
hearing
or
Jill
hanging
go,
upside down from the
Tim, like her Texas
yeah.
accent, Tim.
roof.
No, I enjoyed it. I think I watched like 4 or 5 seasons. And yeah, it was like while we're making dinner, we put it on and just watched Tim
Yeah,
do something
it's
stupid.
Always loved it was when Binford Tool presents, like the bathroom of the future or the man bathroom.
Oh, the man bathroom.
You
Yeah.
know, like those were always great.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want another man in the bathroom with you when you're. There was also the TV show Behind the Attraction. They released a
Yeah.
new season.
Absolutely.
That's good.
That was.
That's a must
That's
watch.
if you're a Disney fan of the parks, this is kind of what you really want with your documentaries.
This I actually enjoyed a lot better than season 1 because I felt season 1 was very like
infomercial, commercial like.
Right. They're like, all right, yeah, we're giving you the history, but we want you to know about what we're advertising for now. Whereas
Yeah.
this one I didn't get that vibe with the episodes that they picked to sponsor. There was like a couple, like I know they did the nighttime show and things like that, but like I just felt like this season it was more genuine to behind the attraction.
Give what give what fans want. They want to know the history. They want to know the little stories,
Right.
the hidden Mickeys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They also released Once Upon a Studio.
Make me cry.
Makes you cry.
Oh my gosh. I
so
cried
good.
so hard.
It was good.
You get that moment with Mickey.
Oh, looking at
thinking
Walt.
looking at
Oh.
Walt. You know, it hits. It hits.
I'm
the
getting
spot.
emotional now.
It was. It's only like a 10 minute short.
Oh, but so good.
But it's fantastic way to celebrate 100 years of the Disney company. Like that was. Like that's what the company needs to tap into is that
Yeah.
emotion, and they haven't been doing that.
They did a good job on that
I
because
watched. Oh yeah, go right.
they
ahead,
they did the Disney 100 on 2020, which was
Right.
like, we've got 40 minutes to talk about Disney, and it kind of like shifted into like infomercial commercial
Yes.
segments where I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing now, and you're like, oh,
Right.
it didn't hit the same.
It's not a celebration.
They're not telling a story. They were selling a story, but it was like very fragmented.
If they're not celebrating the 100 years, they're just saying, well, we've been around for 100 years. Look at what we're doing now.
Yeah.
It was almost like it was a shareholders kind
Yes.
of like,
And-
hey, buy into us because we do all this and we've got history. We're
Right.
part of the fabric of this economy.
And man, the thing I've been missing, because like I'm subscribed to a couple YouTube channels that like will repost like old Disney TV specials, and I'm like, they are so cheese-tastic that I'm like, I want more of this. This is like the Disney that I fell in love with.
Was it
as
about
a kid.
Epcot?
There was one. There were several about Epcot. I watched several with the opening.
The
of
way to win
Epcot
Peter's
and
heart
things
is just mention Epcot.
80s Epcot.
Oh, it's amazing.
I watched Christmas with
Christmas with Walt Disney?
That was sweet.
That was amazing. So that is a video that was exclusively for the Walt Disney Family Museum.
I can see that.
So it was actually that you can only watch that during Christmas at the museum.
Is that the one in San Francisco?
Yes.
Okay.
And so it was great that they brought that out because I was thinking I would probably never get to see this film.
Yeah.
I heard great things about it. It was really great. It gave me, it did give you the Christmas
Give you the warm and
vibes
fuzzies like,
Yeah.
oh, Walt does Christmas like me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it was really good. Definitely recommend watching that.
All right, let's go on to foreign shows that they introduced. Kind of like what Netflix does, and they'll dub with English or not.
And I noticed a trend, and I think you noticed it as well with it. It's like, music class that doesn't, they're not very good. It's kind of like the Glee sort of vibe, sort of thing.
So with the Latin-based TV shows, yes, it's always like there's this one girl that's the underdog or guy. They're an underdog, and they're just genuinely talented, and everyone's surprised when they like
They
outshine
come out, yeah.
the Regina, like Davis from like, or not Davis, I don't know what her name is, Regina from Mean Girls.
Mean Girls, yeah.
Yeah, and you get really good bullies in these shows, but it's the same format.
Yeah.
It's music based, and they all like. I watched Gina Ye, and I actually like that because they introduce like social media with it and try to be more relevant. But you get this clash of like old school like music with like new music, which infuses different styles, and so you see that conflict with some of these shows. So that was the one I watched. I watched All the Same or Not. That one's in Brazil. That one's kind of good, but they didn't dub the second season, so I was like, it's hard for me to sit and do subtitles when I've got a newborn.
Right.
They're very
Yeah.
difficult.
Children make TV watching difficult.
They have one called Chueco, and it's like this guy's strapped for money, so he like gets this monkey to live with them, and he gets paid for it. Basically, they foster monkey. It's almost like Alf from the 80s.
Okay.
But
doesn't eat cats.
I didn't watch it very long. I'm going, oh, this is Alf. Okay. I was like, it's Alf in Mexico. And so they did have a Christmas special for that one. But you know, a foreign film which you wouldn't consider foreign, but they dropped this December, Doctor Who.
Right.
Doctor
Absolutely.
Who is a foreign
It is.
to us here
Foreign
to the
in
US.
America. But yeah, that was
wa-
we grew up with Doctor Who in our
Yeah.
house. Like
Our father
earliest
watched-
memories hearing the early intro, the boom boom boom
Oh,
boom
yeah.
boom boom boom, you know, just you know, that was great. And
I
so to
remember
see the
being
special,
late to school watching like the original Doctor Who.
Right.
Dad's like, you have to stay here. This is pure.
No,
this is your
it was
education.
my choice because I got looped in. I haven't seen the new specials just
Oh, you
because.
haven't watched him yet.
Okay, so it's because we haven't finished watching the new Doctor series, and I tried to convince my
And
husband
he's
to
like, "No."
watch it.
But it has nothing to
And
do with the
I
new
know,
Doctor
I
at
know
all.
it has nothing to do with it, but he is very like, we gotta watch it in order,
Like, honestly, I think
and I can't watch it without him.
I think-
It's one of those shows.
I think she gets like one. She's only referenced in like one line in one of the specials, and that's about it.
yeah.
With the Neil Patrick Harris episode.
Yes.
because
So-
he goes back a little bit to criticize.
So who's
The
the new Doctor, or no? Who's the Doctor that this all starts with this first special? What's his name? David
Tennant.
Tennant, and that was kind of fun because I remember seeing a couple episodes, but it was fun to see him reprise his role,
He's a great doctor.
and I enjoy.
He's the doctor that made it popular.
He's
again.
the millennial.
I agree.
He's the
I agree.
millennial
Yeah.
Doctor.
He's the one that made it popular. He's most people's favorite Doctor out of the recent revival because it's been around since the 60s. And so, yeah, I mean, he did a fantastic job when he came back. Were these my favorite specials? No. Were they okay? Yes, they were okay.
For me, who's not a Doctor Who fan,
Yeah.
I watched it and I was like, wow, these are some fun stories.
Yes.
And I didn't need to watch all of them.
Yeah.
So I recommend it. They're fun, you know, like they're, you know, and they introduce a new Doctor. Neil Patrick Harris is there, you know, as a villain. I didn't have a problem with him in there, but I thought it was just kind of fun sci-fi.
Yes.
It was fun to get some original content. And like, I think the second special was probably
I
the
agree.
best one.
Second one was my favorite one.
The fourth one was good Christmas special for me because it was kind of fun what they did, but I haven't seen the other Christmas specials.
I am hesitant because of the Christmas Day special makes I don't know how I feel about it. The musical number kind of threw me for a loop.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that kind of threw me for a loop for a little bit.
Impromptu musical numbers can do that for people.
Yeah,
It
was
always
just
happens in your
like-
favorite show, like that 70s show had one.
Oh, yeah.
And like How I Met Your Mother had one. You're like, oh, I could skip this one.
Yep. And I
It
won't miss a
doesn't.
thing.
It doesn't matter.
Right, and so like I don't know if that was just they were just doing it that one time, or is this going to be the new norm for the direction they want to take Doctor Who? Which, you know, they do what they want. That's their direction.
It's the new High School Musical for sci-fi nerds. Is that what they're doing?
I don't know. It was definitely like jarring when I'm like, oh, the Doctor's singing now. Okay, all right.
And I'd seen who the new Doctor. I've seen him in other shows, and I've liked him. He's actually in the Barbie movie that I just watched. All right, so any other foreign films did you guys watch or shows?
No.
No. Okay. Are you excited that Doctor Who is on Disney Plus?
Yes,
Yeah.
It makes things easier.
I'm hoping that they've come up with a deal with BBC to get
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
all the Doctor Who
And I
shows?
imagine
So that way I can
I
not pay
imagine-
for the other one.
Well, I imagine they're probably waiting for their contract with Max to run out because that's where all of that content
Yeah.
is now. It's on HBO Max.
I know there's a Doctor Who channel on Roku. I'll put
Yes.
it on. You'll see like the 70s show, like
Yeah.
not the 70s show, but a show that aired in the 70s, and you're
Right.
like, oh boy, it's so low key, kind of like
Tom
we were
Baker.
in a village, and yeah, that's what it was, and it was kind of like we're back in the 1600s. You're like, boy, the show has definitely evolved. All right, Disney Shorts.
Yeah.
Disney
A lot.
released
Thank
a lot of
goodness.
old shorts
Thank goodness.
and new shorts with their, kid shows.
yes.
And I enjoyed it. Even my daughter, I think it works really well with this generation of short
Short.
attention. And that includes myself. Is there one from the throwbacks, like from the 30s and 40s for the celebration for 100?
I mean, they brought back Skeleton Dance, which is an
Yeah.
iconic
It's
Disney
iconic.
film.
That GIF is always around in October.
Yes. I love Goofy Gymnastics.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
good. I love seeing Donald get
Donald's
angry.
nephew.
The Chip
Donald's
Ahoy,
nephews.
Donald's nephew.
Donald's cousin Gus, the goose.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to hate somebody?
Yes.
That was it.
Yeah. There were just so many great.
I mean, we grew up with
classic
all of
shorts.
these.
And like, I wish they released more. And they
will.
They will. They're just being really slow about it. And I'm
They
like,
had a
I think
rush in
they-
like September and October, and I was like, oh, cool, this will be great monthly.
no.
Nope.
I
It
think
dropped
they
off.
have to be slow because then it gets too much and people won't watch them.
It's true. You have to be careful with how much you release each
unless
week.
they combine them into like an hour-long special.
Honestly,
I
like,
think shorts are better, but again, I don't know. Like when you're in the move, it's great, but I
What
found
they need
myself
to-
like 2 at a time was
What
it
they-
for me.
Or a playlist. You just
that's what they should do. They should
Yes.
have like almost like a series of shorts, and then just have them play. And so like you can just go on like, okay, this is episode 3, or episode 10 or whatever, and just
Yeah.
go on like that. I think that would make that better and more accessible for every other person, because
Yeah.
they'll have the newer Mickey shorts, but then you'll have like the classic Mickey shorts playlist, and I think that would be more ideal.
So it was great to see Oswald.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oswald got
I'd
a
never
new-
seen the Trolley Trouble, and that was kind of
that's his
that was
classic
That's
one.
his classic, and I watched it. And I was like, "This is really
Yes.
awesome!" And it was like, "This came out 100 years ago," and they're doing some cool stuff with that. So it's great to see where it all started. They're like, "Yeah, it all started with a mouse." Like, no, it all started with a rabbit.
yeah.
And you could see like when he goes to the beach, that was fun. All wet.
Yes.
Oswald All Wet. That was fun. Yeah, I think my favorite of those was the flying jalopy with
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Donald,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
where he buys like a lemon of a plane, and the guy's trying to like
Yeah.
swindle him, and he's getting worked over by Donald's bad luck. So there was also some like the Chibi verse. You're getting some of those where they're like animes, but they don't like
Right.
talk.
Right.
They make sounds. So they had that. Did you guys watch any of those?
No,
Okay.
I did not.
The which ones?
The Chibi verses or
Oh, no.
It's where they they do it for like classic shows or Disney
or current
Channel
shows that they're doing.
Right.
Yeah. It's Disney Channel like base shows. There was one called How Not to Draw.
Yes, I watched that one. That one was good.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the characters interacting with the artist,
artist,
and they have different characters.
It reminds me of the Walt Disney special, one of his episodes he did, which is on Disney Plus, The Plausible Impossible, where he's interacting with Donald Duck, who's like a little animated person on his desk or whatever.
Yes.
It's very much like that.
It's fun. Carl's Date was dropped.
Carl's Date, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
His last thing that he did before he passed.
The voice actor.
Yeah.
Yes. I enjoyed it, and it was kind of like as you're watching it, you're like, oh, this is it.
That
like,
was
we're,
it.
we're
Yeah.
not, but it was
No
cute.
more Carl.
Yeah.
Doug Days was a real big hit in my house
Absolutely.
2 years ago. Really enjoyed that. So it was fun to get Carl and get a short and get him into our house again. All right. Is anybody watching Disney Junior shows? You've got a little one in your house. Is there something that you can
I mean,
tolerate in the background?
They released more episodes of Bluey.
Bluey's-
That was always
That's kind of a crown
a
jewel of Disney Plus.
it is.
That's just swept the nation, I feel.
I stay away from Disney Junior because I know I'll have to watch that eventually a lot. So.
Okay. Is there anything on there that you think like, oh, I might introduce that? Like,
I mean,
Because I'll tell you what my daughter
Yeah.
watches. Because I'll put something on because I know I want to watch everything, and I see what she's in. I'm trying to expose her to different things.
Right.
So
I can tell you one show one of my boys watches, and that's the Spidey and His Amazing Friends.
Yep.
That one, my second kid, he is in love with that show. He is obsessed with it. He watches it all the time. And so I try to sit with him and try to like help him connect the dots with like, okay, what are they teaching you there? You know, so that he's actually learning something and not just being like Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they released a show called Super Kitties, and I just like the intro. They're like, Super Kitties! So whenever it comes on, I sing like that around the house. And Allison in Wonderland Bakery, my
Oh,
daughter
I
likes
I
that.
saw a few episodes of that like a couple years ago. I was like, okay, well, that's something.
That was season 2. You have your Mickey Mouse Fun House.
Those are always great.
You got your PJ Mask and your puppy dog pals. My daughter likes the intro, but she walks away from the show. And so I'm stuck like, oh, just turn this off because I don't care for it. Okay. Disney kid shows, stuff that's like on Disney Plus and also Disney Channel. Did you guys watch anything like The Raven's Home
No, I didn't watch that.
or The Owl in the House? I know your wife's really into Big City Greens.
Yes, Big City Greens is a fun show, you know, with a bunch of it's kind of like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Okay.
It's got that vibe to it, you know,
Cool.
hillbillies that are adjusting to living in the city.
They're just a little out of place.
Yeah.
How fun.
So like that's the general vibe of that show, which is it's cute, it's fun. Like there's one where like they're just trying to do a family photo at the mall, but everyone's obsessed about trying to get to the food court.
Yeah, I ended up watching The Ghost and Molly McGee, and so this girl like moves around and she makes friends with the ghost that's supposed to haunt her, and he's so like angry that he's getting drawn into these things, but deep down he really likes being friends with her and not being alone. One that caught me by surprise, The Villains of Valley View. So that's a Disney Channel like
I watched
tweenie
one,
show.
I watched one of that. and I was like,
it got me.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah?
It was
Okay.
so the premise is a villain family is in hiding and they're integrated into society, and the main character, she's a villain, and so she's just mean, and she comes up with these snarky remarks how to sabotage, and she makes friends with the happy sunshine girl. It's fun just to see the opposite of Disney. Like they Disney-fied being a jerk,
right.
and it's fun
To see
just to
that.
watch that. I got hooked on to their overall story. The one they also released pretty freaking. I gotta make sure I say it correctly. Freaking scary,
Family show.
pretty freaking scary. It's too Disney for me. The overacting. The parents are
Yeah.
like, "I'm your best friend," and I talk like this. It's like, no, get out of
No.
here. Kif was a fun show that came out on. It's got a high energy kind of
Right.
teen bunny gets into trouble, but is a fun little example of being outgoing. Yeah, there's some fun ones out there. It's again, it's hard to get out of your comfort zone, especially as an adult. Like, let me watch cartoons and this,
Right.
but you can
Yeah.
compare to your own childhood and going, this is actually better written. Like Kip has like a witch, and like they open up like this old like dangerous spirit, and the witch is like, nah, you're on your own, this is your fault. And it's kind of, there's some snarkiness in there, and I'm like, okay, this is meant for both, you know, it's not just for kids, and it's kind of clever that way. All right, Disney Launchpad Mini, anybody watch those? They're like
did
little
not.
like indie films, and so I watched them. They're good. They're about
Yeah.
social issues.
Yeah.
You know, if you're sensitive to culture war kind of
may not be your
issues,
cup of tea.
it may not be
Yeah.
your cup of tea.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, there's a lot of identity politics in there. But I thought they were enjoyable. I watched them and I was like, that was good. I
If you're
feel better
willing-
for watching it.
If you're willing to take a step back from that sort of mindset, you can enjoy the quality and the artwork and the
Because a lot of them deal with family.
right.
And that's the overarching theme in these. And, you know, the importance of like love in a family or
Right.
remembering. That was a lot of good themes. But yeah, so Disney also had their holiday specials. Anything new this holiday that you liked? I know we mentioned the Christmas with Walt. Did you guys watch any of the movies? Like the SantaCon with Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Urkel. It's an old movie from
No,
2011.
I didn't watch that.
I know we watched the Santa Clauses, or we talked about it previous episode.
I watched the Christmas Day parade music.
Mm-hmm.
That was not that good this year.
Well, the thing that like bothers me about those now is that they're at the point now where they're not even like showing new
No.
music. They're like, hey, here's a recording from 17 years ago
Yeah.
of NSYNC singing at Epcot and the old in front of the old Fountain of Nations. That's
Peter's
no
like,
longer there.
I'd watch it if it was in the 80s.
Exactly. I missed the Fountain of Nations. You destroyed it. Gave me broken LED lights in the ground.
Yeah.
Nothing that concrete can fix or destroy. I did watch the movie with Ludacris, like Through the Snow.
Oh, right.
That was fun.
Was that good?
I would recommend it. They also had the Naughty Nine. So what it is like you have 9 kids that didn't get their gifts because they were naughty.
I started watching that. I had to stop.
It's cheesy.
It got real cheesy.
It's cheesy, but I thought it was a fun concept. Of these kids are like it's almost like Ocean's 11 for naughty
Yes.
kids, and they're like, we're gonna steal our present from Santa. And you got Danny Glover as Santa Claus, so it was fun.
It
in
was
the
a
background,
little too Disney Channel.
it's cheesy. It's meant for kids that are like 9 and 10. The ones that are like, I'm gonna break the rules, kind of like, or the ones that push the limit of being on the naughty list.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it just shows you that. They did have a short with John Travolta called The Shepherd. Did you guys watch that?
I watched that.
It's good.
I cried.
It's very sweet.
I totally recommend it. It has a great message.
Yeah. And it's a feel good. If you want a moment like you got
It's
15,
not
20
long.
minutes, you want a good feel good. It's got like a throwback in time. It's fun.
And it's not very. I mean, there's Christmas to it, but like you can get away with watching it without Christmas.
You don't need Christmas to watch that one. There's one here. Let's go to Halloween. Goosebumps. Did you guys watch it?
I didn't.
I avoided it because Goosebumps gives me nightmares as a kid, and so I was like, nope, not today.
I'm 10, 15 years older than that
Yep.
kid, but it still scares me.
Yep.
Goosebumps was good. They integrated the stories and
The
themes of the
original
books
stories.
into a overall flowing story. I enjoyed it. My wife and I binged like the first 5, and then we're hooked. Each week we watched it and we finished it, and I was like, I liked it. So, yeah, I'd recommend it.
It's on my. I'll get around to it one of these days.
And that was Werewolf by Night. They released it
Oh,
in color,
yeah.
and I finally watched it, and I was like, that was good.
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night is good. The black and white is way better, I think.
I think it gives it a good like.
Frankenstein,
Yeah, it gives it that
Dracula
old
feel.
vibe better. Yeah.
All right, let's get into the bigger names here. Star Wars.
Yep.
We had Ahsoka. We talked about that. Mandalorian.
Yep, we've talked about that.
Bad Batch came out. Did we like the season of Bad Batch?
It was okay.
I liked the way that it ended because
Yeah.
it meant we're going. Because I felt like the second season was missing something, and I feel like the way they ended the second season is that this next season that'll come out will be more driven.
This one I feel like this one is meant to have. It's meant to be slower dip in order to build to something bigger.
Right.
We lost characters.
Yeah.
The one that really got me was the one. Who's the one with the crosshair and his eyes, Shooter or something like that?
Crosshair.
Crosshair. That's his
Yeah.
name. When he had his moment,
Yes.
like when his
Yeah.
shelf broke of like for the Republic and like you do your duty. That one was
That
was
was-
heavy. I
his
walked
ep-
away and I was
his
like, that's the
episodes-
best like Disney Clone War
His
kind of hitting the
episodes-
soul.
His episodes were the best of season
Yeah.
2, without a doubt. The other, the other,
There was a lot of fillers. And
everything.
You got
else
your
was
droid episode
filler.
kind of feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else was filler, and not really important.
But there was some that like you're not expecting. You're like, oh, I watch it. I'm enjoying some good action, and it just like, whoa, they hit my soul there for a moment.
Yes.
They poked at it, and it was like, whoa, all right.
I mean, will I watch season 3? Yeah, I'm gonna watch season 3.
Yeah, and I think isn't it the last one?
Probably.
I think they're saying it's the
Probably.
last one. It's like you only got so much you can do, and it's like they're not
Yeah.
really integrated in the rebellion.
right.
So you have Visions that came out season 2. It's an anime. It's
Yes.
an opportunity for anime artists or studios to create non-canon anime shorts,
Right.
and they're good.
Yeah, they were okay.
They're fun to watch.
I think season 1 was better, but
Yes.
this was okay.
It was fun to see the different styles
Yes.
and how they interpret the
I did
Force.
enjoy
and-
the Wallace and Gromit style, the racing
Mhm.
episode. That was fun. That was goofy.
Yeah, there's some that are lighthearted and there's some that are dark. I still remember from season 1 where they had like that old man as
Yes.
a Sith. That was like that may give like my inner child a nightmare.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that was creepy.
that was creepy.
yeah.
All right.
was great.
Let's move on to Marvel.
Well, I had a question.
Oh, what's your question about Star Wars?
Did you watch the? Because this kind of I wasn't sure when you wanted to talk about the Disney Junior Star Wars show.
Oh, you're talking about Young Jedi Adventures. It was either or. You could talk about it now.
Okay. So
Have you been watching it?
I watched a few episodes, obviously, because it's meant for little kids, and like one of my kids, he was into it for a little bit, but he kind of moved on he went back to Spidey, but like every once in a while he'll throw it back on. It's like, oh, it's on, and it's cute. It's a cute little Jedi show.
It's like a teddy bear
Yeah.
Star Wars
Yeah.
playtime.
Big
It feels
time.
like.
yeah. It's
So do you recommend it? Are you like, does it?
Or is it just for like the kids?
oh, it's definitely just for the kids. I wouldn't recommend it for like the fans.
You don't have the Order 66 episode?
No, we don't have the guest star Anakin Skywalker shows up with some clone troopers.
Let's do a throwback to the temple and its last days under the Republic.
Yeah. I mean, like, you get the Yoda cameos, which are good, and so, like, it's cute for what it is. And if you want to try to indoctrinate your kids into Star Wars, it's a good show to do that with.
I always enjoyed the gallery episode and the like anything like
Behind the
scenes.
Yep.
Those are always good.
Well, do we want to talk about Indy? Well, the Indiana Jones, was it the Timeless Hero? Is that what
I
it's called?
kind
Timeless
of.
Heroes? Or did you put that someplace
I'm
else?
trying to think where I put that.
Did you put it with?
I think it's with the missile.
Oh.
No, it's with the Disney movie plus movies and theatricals. No, I didn't even put it there. I don't think I knew what to do with it. It was
Okay,
like kind of
well, we'll put it with Lucas. So
we'll put it. Yeah, if you guys want, like, did you guys like the documentary about him?
I only watched
I did.
like the first half when it's like about
Indiana Jones,
Indiana
and Star Wars a
Jones.
little bit.
and not about the new movie because I didn't really care necessarily.
It's
about,
a love fest on Harrison Ford. It's like,
Yeah.
you're amazing. You're
is.
great. I just
It
think
is.
of like
It
Muppet
totally
Treasure
is.
Island when like
Right.
we're so sorry. You're so great. How did we doubt you?
Yeah.
It was a love fest. Harrison Ford, which if you're an Indiana Jones or Star Wars fan, you're gonna love it. It's gonna throw you back. And I didn't know Kathleen Kennedy found her husband
Yeah.
while doing that,
Yeah.
and so I was like, oh, that's cute. I don't hate you as much now. You're been humanized in my eyes now. You're not just some villain in my articles or the credits of the movies where I'm going, you could have done better. All right, so let's talk about Marvel. We had some TV shows come out, and we had Loki, which
talked
we
about.
all talked about,
Great.
and we all agreed it was good.
She-Hulk didn't come out this year. Was
Nope.
That was last year.
year.
Peter really ripped into that
I know
one.
Yes,
you,
I did.
I know
Yeah.
you hated it. I didn't mind it, but yeah, okay.
Did you watch it again this year?
I didn't. But if I was gonna watch all the Marvels in order, I'd watch it.
You infuse it.
I
into-
wouldn't. I would
I
totally
would-
skip
No.
that one. Yep, 100%.
I really
skip
enjoy
that
the
one.
Marvel series, so I loved Loki.
Did you watch Secret Invasion?
I did.
Did you enjoy it? What are your thoughts on the $200 million TV show?
It was $200 million.
Yes.
Yes.
It was so much.
That's
money.
the one
Yikes.
that's getting like,
That was.
we
the-
need to start making some better life choices here.
It was after that one that Disney came out and says we are going to shift how we're going to spend our money now.
Yes.
It's hard because they need a side character, a main character, and he's not like the most entertaining main character.
Black Widow story. You know,
Yeah.
but like, yeah.
Well,
I mean, I was surprised they killed that one person. I was like, oh, they just killed her off. Okay.
Spoiler. Somebody's been killed that you may know.
oh right. I was
Yeah.
like, who are you talking about? Oh yes, that person.
It was your
It was a
typical
different-
superhero ending. The world's going to end, but we'll solve it in the last episode. But it's
Yeah.
not fully solved. We could open this can of worms if we want, or we can keep it shut with Tupperware.
But the show was not like
I have
torturous.
a feeling that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna keep it shut. But I will say this: I think the events in Secret Invasion are setting up
Something in the
setting up
future.
the world of the world hating on mutants when they bring the X-Men into it.
Yep.
I agree because at the end of the Marvels, they have an X-Men
Right.
short.
Because
So-
the way they ended Secret Invasion was the president of the United States being like,
I'm scared.
Yeah.
we're gonna kill all the Skrulls. Doesn't matter who they are. They are not a part of yours. And so
If you're not
it's,
human, you're not with us. Who's
it's-
with me? I am.
It's creating this environment on the planet of distrust against things that are not human, natural human. And so I think that's probably, in my opinion, the only thing that's what we're
That's
gonna
a
be.
$200
what we're
million
gonna
dollar,
Yep.
setup.
It is. It absolutely is. It was very expensive to do that. And yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was weird, seeing like Samuel L. Jackson being like, I'm old, I'm
He's
gonna
all
die.
mopey.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
It's like watching Luke Skywalker in like The Last Jedi, where you're like,
Yep.
"You're my Luke Skywalker."
and then-
Okay,
and then
I've been
he's-
waiting 30 years for this.
And then he's all like, all right, I'm old. I'm going to go back up to the sword station and have this crazy adventure with the Marvels.
Yes.
And be all
The
like,
Tribble
The
episode.
Tribble episode. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you watch it, Jackie?
The Marvels. I haven't seen it because
Okay.
it's not in theaters.
Oh yeah, they canned it early, or they canned it just in time. We also got I'm Groot.
Yes.
Cute.
They're so cute.
They're
My
so
daughter's like, I
cute.
love this. She enjoyed it. We've watched it a couple times around. They're very short,
Yeah.
cute little baby
Yeah.
Groot moments and his little like
It's
temperament.
easy if you're like, I got 20 minutes to kill. Let me just pop this on.
It's good background. We also got Stan Lee.
Yeah,
his
it's a really
documentary.
good documentary.
We talked about Stan Lee's episode,
Yeah.
Yes.
and this really drove a lot of
Yeah,
like gives us
information.
the timeline to help build that episode.
Right.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Fantastic documentary about Stanley.
If you're gonna watch a documentary, I think that one was one of the best ones
Yeah.
that I watched this year. The Stan Lee one. It's a good feel good. You get that kind of like, wow, you're a little treasure, and you allow this, allow all the comic book stories and the comic book world really happen. You were a good facilitator and bringing that into our life and our culture, and so it's a good way of celebrating his life after, his recent passing.
What if?
What if?
So good.
Did you guys like this season?
I haven't finished the second
Oh,
season,
man.
but
How far did
The
you
wa-
go? How far did you go though?
last one we watched was the Christmas.
Oh, so you're not far
You
at
haven't
all.
even gotten
No.
into the main story yet.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
They introduced a new character in there.
Oh yeah.
Some people are like, I don't like it. I didn't
don't know,
mind it
It was fine.
because they included her in the overarching story.
Right.
As I'm watching these, I'm going, this is what I want with Marvel.
Yes. Correct.
It's just like, you don't need to do 200 million TV shows. Just give me side stuff like this and it works. Give me knockoff
Well,
like
and they-
generic brand Tony Stark voice.
They've
I
said now that
I want
what
more
if it's
six-
canon, right?
I want 1600.
It's easy to make a canon because it's the multiverse. Like,
Yeah. Right.
of course, it's one of those strings on Loki's tree.
Yeah.
I want more 1600s adventures.
That was fun. So you go in the 1600s, you'll see it.
Yeah.
Peggy is you'll see Peggy is the main star going
Peggy
forward
is the main character of the series.
of this season. Doctor Strange was the main one last year, I
Yes.
thought.
Yes.
And so they feed that storyline into this one. So it was.
It's definitely one of those like you should watch season 1 before you watch season 2.
it gives over the theme.
Well, and season 1's so good.
Well, but there is an overarching storyline
Yeah.
that connects.
It's
so.
fun how they made Happy into the Hulk.
Oh,
He's-
that was so
he's,
funny.
and it is a Marvel character. Happy Hogan does become. I forgot what he's called. He's like the Freak. I think that's what it's called, the Freak.
Is it like that grin, like he'd been to the dentist and he can't like smile and he's like, "Eh."
And apparently that was a condition that he made, the voice actor made in doing What If, was that they were gonna make him the Thing.
Is it the same person that does, the Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was all
That
like,
was- that
he's
was-
got pull. Like he's
that was his
the
condition.
one
It
that's
was all
kept
like-
Disney Plus relevant.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
like, I'll do it if you turn me into the Thing. And they're like, okay. Not the Thing, but
The Freak.
The Freak, yeah.
So that was I enjoyed it. It's while I'm watching him going, yes, this is what I want.
Yep.
Keep doing this. Hear me.
Yes.
Do this. Less of the
Secret
$200
Invasion,
million
yeah.
like for me.
Give me these fun adventures.
I enjoyed this more than any other
Well, because
movie.
what ifs
I agree.
are just digital comic books. Like,
I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
You
and-
don't need to give me real life stuff because
Right.
your CGI is the quickest way of getting me out of the movie. Because it's been happening.
So if it's
She-Hulk for you,
animated, it's
and
fine.
Oh, bad. So bad. So bad. I'm still bitter about that one.
Jackie doesn't mind it, so it's torn. I'm kind of in the middle with it. All right, let's go into movies. Disney Plus movies. We talked about what was released in the theaters just a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. If you want more in depth of that, go ahead. I think most of us thought that the Guardians of the Galaxy was the best one that came out last year in the theater. So we had like Rosalind that was on Hulu, but they put it on Disney Plus. There was Flamin' Hot. I got that. I watched that one from a recommendation from Father Yodler. It's a good feel good. It's the
okay.
American story, of like.
What's it called?
It's called Flamin' Hot. It's about the
Flamin'
Flamin'
Hot,
Hot
okay.
Cheetos and its
Oh,
origin.
okay.
And it's a great story. You'll feel good. It's borderline like, it's like a step up, feel good from the Hallmark Channel.
Okay.
But it's got the underdog feel, and you're rooting for them, and it's good, and it's based on real people.
Okay.
Jackie and I were discussing Chang Can Dunk.
That's a surprisingly good movie.
Surprise!
It's a really good movie. It's one of those movies I would watch again.
I agree.
It's
better than the Disney Channel, movies.
yes, it's a step up from Disney Channel movies, and it was refreshing, honestly.
I agree. There was the Prom Pact. And these movies that the Prom Pact was going back in high school and dealing with high school drama. If you like those, it'll satisfy that itch. And then there was the Slumber Party, which was my surprise one. I'm like, really? 30 in my late 30s, and I'm gonna watch
Slumber Party.
a 10 to 12-year-olds do a slumber party, and it's just it's fun. Like kids getting into trouble, like they lose their memory for the night because of a hypnotist, and they just like they wake up without eyebrows and like a friend's missing, and so they're on this like, where have we been? It's like
Hangover
it's the Hangover story, but with 10-year-olds. They're like, man, I'm all hopped up on sugar last night, and you just get these oddball characters, and it's fun. And I'm all like, I like this because I've got daughters, and I'm all like, I want them to have this type of fun because I had that type of fun
Yeah.
Right.
and their age. And so it was hard not to reminisce of the stupid things that I did in this. And it's fun. it's a fun journey. So I recommend it as my kind of my dark horse surprise movie that came out that wasn't in the theaters. Anything else from you guys from those?
There's Peter Pan and Wendy. I never watched it.
I watched it. It was okay. It's basically the story of what we all like to joke, like Peter Pan's the villain.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So it's if you want that story, it's
I
there.
just have heard not great things, and so I'm not motivated to watch it, but I am.
It's darker.
Yeah.
It's not your like Disney feel good. It's going along like the main character's bad and the villain was actually the good guy all along. Or he's justified in it. All right, let's finish off with Disney Plus shows.
Yeah.
Ones that we didn't talk about. So we've already talked about Ahsoka and Loki and the Santa Claus.
How about Lego Disney Princess?
Oh, that was on the movies. I put that in the movies.
Oh, did you?
Did you watch that?
Yeah, it was cute.
It was cute.
It was okay.
Gaston is the villain.
Right.
He's got
He's a
King
cute
Triton
adventure.
trapped in the waters and they gotta explore. It's like kid playing Legos and
Yeah.
coming up with their own story. I didn't like the Avengers Red Dawn one
No.
or Code Red.
no.
That one I was like, didn't work for me this year. I know you recommended the Star Wars one from last year. What was it called? The Summer Vacation,
Oh yeah, the Lego.
or was it the Christmas one? I can't remember.
They did one for Christmas. They did one for summer. They've done one for Halloween. All the Lego Star Wars specials are fun.
Okay, so Disney Plus came out with some shows early
Yeah.
on in the year, which some of you guys may have not watched. Like Willow. It was supposed to be
It
huge.
was, I didn't mind Willow.
You watched it?
I
you
watched
you
it
got to watch
all.
it because
I
they
watched-
canned it within like 2 months.
I watched it all. I watched it as it was being released.
I watched it about the time it was released, and then when they canceled, I'm going, I could see why.
I got
it's hard.
one episode in.
I-
That's as far as
I
got
watched
into
it all, but I watched the original on a flight, and then I started watching the series.
Willow, you idiot.
And I was like, there were missing components of like the feel of the start, and I get it's a different director and stuff.
It's been 30 years
Yeah.
or
But
more.
like comparing it to all the other stuff that they've released on Disney Plus,
Weak.
it wasn't bad.
I think it's weak still, like
Yeah. I felt like
compared to like
Okay,
Mandalorian,
but you
Ahsoka,
never
Loki.
finished it,
I did
though.
watch it. I watched it
Oh, you
all the way
watched it
through,
all.
and I got to the end. I'm going, I
I
don't
felt-
want. And I saw where they're like, they could have another season, but I'm going, I think this is a very weak story. But I don't get into medieval fantasy.
Yeah.
I don't like Lord of the Rings. I can only deal with like I love
like a
Star
good-
Wars
I love
like
a good
magic,
adventure film.
but it just the Willow. I was like,
I didn't
I thought it was
fall
a
in-
weak story
I didn't fall in love with the characters, and that's what kept me from keep watching.
because you're gonna go on a journey with them,
Yeah.
and you're not a big fan of the journey story as much.
It depends. It depends. But like this one just didn't captivate me. Like it was cool to see Willow, but the other characters were just kind of like meh to me, and it didn't encourage me to. It didn't motivate me to keep watching.
Yeah, and I think it cost them a lot of money to keep it on because they're like, we don't want to pay these guys anymore,
Yeah.
and they canned it.
Yeah, it was not on there.
It
for
was
long.
very short, and they did that with Crater. I was like, I didn't even get to
Oh,
see that one.
what was it? The one from John Stamos and Mighty Ducks.
Oh,
That
they
guy-
canned those shows as well.
They canned those shows. They canned.
There was a period
my,
where they're like, we're canning shows that
Yeah.
aren't making us money.
Oh, Mysterious
the,
Benedict.
the Mysterious
Which was
Society
cute.
of Benedict.
I
That was a
enjoyed that.
great show. It actually was nominated for an Emmy this
Yeah,
year.
Yeah, there
but
were
can
some
you watch
ones-
on Disney Plus? Nope.
Yeah. You could buy it on Apple TV, probably.
Probably.
There was the National Treasure show that was in the early part. Did you guys watch it at all?
I watched a few
I got to
episodes.
a couple episodes in, and I just never got the time.
Yeah,
to go back in.
I never
think
got-
it's still there though.
I never got yeah, it is.
I
It's
think,
still
yeah.
there.
I never got motivated to finish it.
If you like the Indiana Jones kind of like find and hunt kind of style, it would be your jam, but you're just dealing with, your early millennial / Gen Z kind of mentality. And so they do things that kind of irked me where I'm just like, really, you're, counterintuitive to what you're trying to do, and I didn't like it. It threw me out with, some of the identity politics kind of manipulation they did and the writing. I didn't care for it. And I'm usually not too sensitive to it, but I was all like, that wasn't necessary, I thought. But overall, there's just little moments. It doesn't ruin the whole show. But if you like National Treasure, you'll like it for the most part if you're, willing to stick it out. All right. Let's go into the Muppets.
Muppets
Mayhem.
I was so upset when they canceled that show.
They canceled
They
it?
canceled it.
I
So
think it was
the
good as it
writing-
was.
The writing itself was meh, but the music was amazing. I listened to the soundtrack today.
Well, I mean, the Muppets normally don't have good stories
No.
in general. It's usually the music and the comedy
Yes.
that keep you in. And this had the typical Muppet recipe of success.
This was good. If
Yes.
you were a Muppet fan, you would have loved this.
It's still on there.
It's still
I believe.
there.
Yeah.
They just canceled the show.
They
Yeah.
cancel season 2.
I'm fine with them not having season 2. I really liked how it ended. I'm like, leave it.
Yeah.
Stop. Don't give me any more. You did a good job. Any more is going to ruin it for me. That I thought.
I mean, I hope they go in and do maybe different set
I
of
wouldn't mind like
characters.
specials.
How about like Swedish Chef season?
Yes, a Swedish chef.
Well, like a
That
Swedish
would be
cooking.
awesome.
Yes.
They've introduced little shorts with them, and it's fine. But so what they did with the Muppets was take up the band and give them a backstory and give them like, a journey to being relevant
Yeah.
in today's world. And I thought they did a good job. It was fun to see the cameos, as always with Muppets.
Yep.
I was like, that's the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins right there. And I was like, that's great.
It's a show that like it took a little bit to get into it, but once you got into it, you're like, all right, I can.
It's satisfying. I
Yeah.
agree. The Simpsons dropped their season 34. I actually started watching it because I'm trying to push. It's been years. I actually appreciate it. I was like, this is fun. It's still good. They still got it. Do you guys watch anything else? Did you watch The American Born Chinese?
That's on my
Yes,
list.
I have
haven't
started
seen
watching
yet.
it. I haven't finished it, but I've actually really enjoyed it.
It's good. It's a
Yeah.
high school show again, but it infuses it infuses Chinese folklore in a modern sense, and kind of they do a good job. I enjoyed it. I didn't like, gotta watch this because this. No, I've been pretty good about like, I'll watch it until I don't. Like, I'll drop it.
Yeah.
I'm not a completist, but I'm more of like, let me be exposed to it and see what I thought. And I recommend it. It's fun. It's good for teenagers. It's centered around a Chinese American teenage boy and his way of maneuvering the world.
I watched the High School Musical series new season.
Isn't this the last one?
I hope so.
Were you completist on this one? You're trying
This
to like,
was because I
like,
started watching the beginning and stuff. I've watched all the seasons.
you're the generation
This is
that
what
fell
like
in love with.
yes.
You made this like the High School Musical.
this was like made for our generation, not this new series. This new series I would say is more for like the preteens.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. The story wasn't good.
I've
Super
always said that about it,
cheesy.
but I was older when the came out. I'm going, this is garbage. But
But like
But you're saying the series as a whole just kind of like
It
peaks
goes down.
and it crashes.
absolutely, honestly,
Stop after season 1.
yeah,
Okay.
because
if you want that fix,
or 1 and 2 you could get through. I think there's 4 seasons of it now total. Honestly, when Olivia Rodriguez left, it like died.
Okay.
she was the keystone.
She was partially in season 3, but not really.
So it was kind of like a Rachel and Glee sort of thing. So like when she graduated and they were trying to reintroduce a new group of kids.
Yeah.
I
In Glee.
was like, nah,
Well, it's
not
just like
working.
it was just like how they wrote it. It was just like, and she's gone. She's no longer a thing. But But yeah. Yeah, not great. Percy Jackson, you guys watch it?
I haven't watched
I
it.
haven't
I feel like I
started.
need to just watch it all at once
It's good.
because I feel like it will be that
See,
for me.
I've watched the other movies that came out before.
Which everyone, I've heard people who are fans of that are like, those suck. I don't like them.
Yeah.
It's not by the book. You know, like it's the book people that are
Right.
complaining about it.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm watching it as I go.
I'm hearing good things about it.
It's
so.
definitely one of those shows I'm like, oh, I want to watch the next one.
If they release it week by week, I have a good feeling about it. Like they're gonna release Echo and they're releasing it all at once.
And
And I'm like,
Oh.
oh, so it
Not
sucks.
good.
You don't want to binge it because you're like, it's so good, you have to watch it all at once. It's like,
No.
we don't need you to keep coming back for this one. We just need to just release it.
Yeah. I definitely think Percy Jackson is a good way to start the year of Disney Plus.
So, reviewing everything, there's some good, there's some bad, and Disney is still learning how to maneuver this streaming war. And I think
Yes.
it's going to get worse because the writer's strike, money is getting tightened.
Well,
That's
and
the
they've
big thing.
announced they're going to do
Oh,
less content.
We're going to talk about this next week.
We're going
Yeah.
to talk about it next
We're going to talk about this next week. I am ready.
Peter's
for this
ready, and it's
conversation.
one of those things you see it and you're like, yeah, anybody that been going, this war is not sustainable with the content we're getting. I said it was the golden age, and it's gonna get into the dark ages.
You're going to start seeing streaming services fall off.
Yeah, you're gonna
Combine.
see. You're gonna see. There's rumors of like Paramount getting absorbed.
Right.
Yep.
There's just like they bit off too much. They're just trying to be relevant. So, I that's not really gonna be the case with Disney. But it's not gonna be the same Disney Plus that
Nope.
you had the last few years.
No.
You're not gonna get the $200 million, TV
Shows.
show of Marvel. It's just they're trying new things.
They'll
going,
keep
what
it
works?
with like Mandalorian and stuff like that.
If it's a
but-
crown jewel like the Mandalorian, it's gonna be good. I'm gonna say it's gonna be good, but they're gonna continue what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what's streaming and what's succeeding, and they're gonna go, okay, we need to kind of do what we did here with something else,
Yeah.
or try. They're learning their formulas because we're at that guinea pig phase. So I brace with us this next year. It's gonna be a little bit different.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna put on there.
Mud garbage.
Probably.
There's gonna be more things from like the early 2000s spot.
Probably.
Yeah.
So try a National Geographic. See if that's going to be your thing, because that may be the most fresh content you're really going to
It
get.
may be. It very well.
Because there's a lot of things shifting. Star Wars is going to actually be more relevant this next year.
Yes.
They're
They're-
releasing.
They're definitely taking a step back with Marvel.
I think Marvel needs to reassess themselves, and I think the company, because just the culture of movies and the integration of Disney Plus with movies, they haven't figured it out yet,
Yeah.
and they may not figure it out. It's really hard, and it's really expensive, and the company's they're cinching in. We're gonna talk about that.
Yes.
Next
We're gonna talk about next week.
Next week.
Please follow us on our social media and comment. What did you like on Disney Plus? What do you recommend to us?
Yeah. Did we
Was
miss
there
something?
was there an episode in National Geographic or the garbage where you're like,
which shark show was your favorite?
What's your jam with the shark? Because they had like 8 shows that came
Had a
out this
ton,
year, and I was
'cause
like,
of Shark Week.
Shark Week. I was like, man, they no joke. Hammerhead versus Tiger, and I was like, I'm kind of good on that. The Alcatraz one was too much for me. So, with that being said, please, again, follow us on our social media. Share us with people that are Disney fans, because we are Disney fans, just chit-chatting about what we like and what we see. We are just like you. And with that being said,
Poor.
auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.